Okay, for this tutorial we are going to look at options for changing the color of objects, blurring an object, and changing the opacity of an object. And we'll get into the specifics of what those words mean, namely opacity. It's not obvious if you haven't heard that word before what it actually does, but we'll take a look at that. First we're going to look at color though, and you're already familiar with um, changing the color of an object by clicking on the color chooser down here and applying a color to the selected object. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Let me straighten out this star before we continue. If I click on it a second time, I get my rotation handles and I can straighten this star out. And okay, so let's say that you want to make this star the same exact color as another existing object on the page. So let's say we have a square over here, purple square, and you want to make the star the same color as the square. However, you don't know exactly which purple it is down here that was selected. Okay, that's where the eyedropper tool comes in handy. It's at the bottom of the toolbox. And first, I want to select the target object whose color I want to change. So I want to change the star to be purple, so I'll select it, and I have my dotted lines indicating its selection. And then I can click on the eyedropper tool and click on the purple, and it applies that color value over to the previously selected object. And this is really handy, and I imagine you'll be using this function quite a bit because it's really important to get your colors perfect, and you want them to harmonize with the other colors that are used in your composition, or namely logo for this class. Okay, so that is how you assign a specific color value to an object. Let me delete this square here real quick. And the next function that I'm going to demonstrate is blurring an object. And blurring comes in really handy, actually, for drop shadows, for example. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this star here, and we'll just use a simple copy and paste, Control C, Control V. And so I have a star on top of a star, and I want to select the star in the background and apply a black color to that star. And then I'll go ahead and shift my top star over a little bit and go ahead and select the star in the background. Okay, so now I want to apply a blur to this star so that it has kind of a drop shadow effect. And what I need to do is I need to go into the fill and stroke properties of this star here in the background. And so this icon up here, the tooltip tells me that I can edit the object's colors, gradients, stroke, width, arrowheads, dash patterns. You can do a lot of things with this. This tool here, and you'll notice right here, fill and stroke is the name of the dialog. Okay, so let's not get overwhelmed with the buttons and dials and such that are on this dialog here. What I want you to do is just go straight down here to the blur slider and play around with the blur slider. Right now it has 0 blur, and if we slide it to the right, you'll notice that it starts blurring that star there in the background. And basically what you can achieve with that is a nice shadowy effect, and that definitely comes in handy as you are creating your logos. If you need to have some sort of blurring or shadowing going on, then you would go to fill and stroke, come down here, make sure that you're on the fill tab, and then you can adjust the blur to apply blurring to an object. Okay, the last thing that I want to demonstrate in this tutorial is the opacity, and opacity has to do with the transparency of an object. So right now, this star here on the top is fully opaque. I can't see through it, and oftentimes you will need to change the opacity of an object so that you can see through it a little bit for whatever reason, whether it's a design element or just for whatever reason. And so right now I've got a square, and I'll leave the star on here. I'm sorry, a circle and a star, and I want to draw a square right on top of these, and I'll just make it green. So I'm drawing a rectangle on top. And if I want to change the opacity, that means I'll be able to see through this square, this rectangle. I can go over here again in the fill and stroke dialog, and I can grab this opacity slider and slide it to the left. And the further to the left, the more transparent the object is. And as you can see, we can now see through this rectangle to the objects that are beneath it. And so you can come up with all sorts of creative reasons for changing the opacity of an object. So that's it for our lesson on changing color, blurring, and changing the opacity of an object.